What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the broader markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below, or use my QR code right here to sign up. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvidia stock. If you deposit $2,000, you're going to get $50 worth of Nvidia. Deposits $10,000 to get $300 worth of the stock, or deposits $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvidia. You're also going to qualify for an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, and the offer ends very soon. So please check out my link down below to sign up or use this QR code right here. Anyways, as far as Tesla and the market are going, for now, Tesla's starting to turn more bullish. We're trying to push higher for 435. If that breaks, I would not rule out 440. But at the same time, I do want to warn you all that Tesla had a rising wedge, and that if we can't break past 435, if we kind of like push and reject, if we don't close above this, there is still that risk of us getting some kind of rejection with the overall market. So it depends on how we end up closing. But I'm going to give you guys an analysis of what I think is going to happen for the short term. Michael Burry from The Big Short has been talking about how he thinks Tesla is ridiculously overvalued. However, there's no indication of him actually opening a short position against Tesla. This is just a comment that he made, at least so far from what I'm reading. That's very important because I haven't really, seen the position yet, even though, headlines kind of make it seem like he is shorting Tesla. But despite that, he still has a very similar view to other analysts, that he thinks that Tesla's overvalued and that it is due for some kind of correction eventually. That's his view so far. On top of this, when it comes to Tesla sales, in Norway, we saw a new record as we saw 26,000 registrations. However, in other areas, keep in mind that in Sweden and other countries such as like Portugal, the Netherlands, France, the sales are still down over 50%. So some regions Tesla sales are weaker, but in other areas like Norway, they are still showing some strength. Now, today's Tuesday, December 2nd at 10 o'clock a.m. We have Bowman giving a speech, and at 10:10 we have the Economic Optimism Index report, which could cause some volatility. Besides that, Jerome Powell gave a speech yesterday, but he did not address the current economic conditions or monetary policy. He is once again being very quiet because of the Fed's blackout period. And then on top of this, keep in mind that there's an 87% chance of us getting a cut for now. The market is still pricing that in. Now, President Trump has announced that he's going to be making a major announcement today at 2 p.m. local time. So 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, there could be a big announcement coming out from President Trump, which could cause some volatility. So I'll give you guys a warning about that later on. And then besides that, a couple more things to consider. The market's been trying to push. Um, President Trump also said that he knows who he will nominate to be the replacement for Jerome Powell, but the public has to wait on that decision. So keep that in mind. That's also going to be announced later on. So we're going to see how this affects the markets. My concern for Tesla is that there's still that gap at 393 that's unfilled, and that we had this rising wedge-like pattern. But for now, Tesla's trying to go higher, so we're going to see if we can get back up to like 435. If that breaks, we're looking for the low 440s, like 442. But if we're bearish and we end up losing 418, we're looking for a dump back down towards the lower 400s. So lose 418, we're looking for a dump, but break past 435, and we're looking for the low 440s. In my opinion, I think the chart favors 435 or maybe a little bit higher. And we're going to see if we get some kind of rejection or not. It's still possible we get that rejection because of the rising wedge. Also because the 4-hour is showing some weakness, and the daily chart also has some weakness, right? There's still weakness on the daily time frame and the unfilled gap on the 4-hour. So are we going to push? Yes, temporarily. I think we could be going higher. We could attempt to go for 435 or even 440. But if we reject and if we can't close above 435, there's still that risk of Tesla kind of like turning down like that. And we could be looking for a revisit of 420 or below. So we're going to see if we pivot or not on Tesla. But I do think that we could temporarily push for 435 this morning. Then we'll see if Tesla rejects. The same thing is going on with SPY. We had this rising wedge, and there are some gaps below. But, we have not really invalidated the, the total downside rejection move yet, unless we break 685. If 685 breaks, we could be looking for new all-time highs. But if we come short of 685, if we push to like 684 and then we reject, we could once again turn back down towards 675. So we're going to see how it ends up going as time goes on. That's going to be very important for us. So watch that very, very closely. But overall, I do think that this morning the market is actually trying to pump a little bit. So we could be looking for some temporary upside again. But as long as we don't hold above 685, or if we even if we like kind of get above it and reject, there's still a risk of the market turning back down. I think it's very important to know what the risks are given the current market circumstances, right? It's very important to be wary of that, right? So, what do I think is going to happen? We're going to be watching for an attempt to push for like 684, and then we will see if there is some kind of rejection move coming or not. So, watch that very closely. Unless we break 685 to be more bullish, we could kind of push a little bit and then reject, and we could still turn back down towards the lower 680s as we're still in a range. On the QQQ, we need to break past 625 to be bullish. If we come short, we could hit like the low 620s, then turn back down towards 613. We're going to see how it goes as we have a rising wedge. The rising wedge could still lead to a rejection. This could be a trap. So even if we push a bit higher, unless we get back above 625, there is still a risk of rejection. On the IWM, we're trying to push to fill this gap. We could be looking for 248 to 250. And we're going to see if we kind of like reject near 248 to turn back down towards 245. On ES, we're trying to push, but as long as we don't break 6,900, we could still reject. If we break 6,900, we're looking for a big breakout, but if we come short, we could push to like 68, 70 or below, and then we could be looking for a move back down. We could still pivot below right before 6,900, so we'll see if that ends up being the case. NQ, same thing. We're looking for a little bit of a push right here. But as long as we don't break 25,800, we could push a couple, some more points higher for a potential pivot back down with this bearish divergence. I'm seeing weakness on the 4 hours, so be careful. Bitcoin's trying to bounce here, but be careful around 88,900 to 90,000. Could push a bit higher here, and then we're going to see if it turns back down because we could be forming a sort of like a head and shoulders. So for Tesla, could we push more? Yes, we could be looking for 435 or even higher, but we're going to see if we close above that or not. We could kind of push and reject, so give that some time. Nvidia is looking for 182.5 to 184, and we'll see if we turn back down. Apple's kind of rejecting. It could be dipping back down to 280, and we'll see how it goes. Palantir is looking to attempt for 172, and we'll see if it rejects. AMD is looking for an attempt for 225. Coinbase is also looking a bit more bullish. If we break 268, there's a gap to fill at 275, and we'll see if it rejects. Amazon's looking for essentially 238, and we'll see if it turns. Meta is looking a bit more bullish, favoring 647, if not 650. But watch and see if it could reject near 650 or not. But for now, it is a little bit more bullish. Google's on a downtrend unless we hold at 315. It could be dipping to the low 310s, and then Microsoft could be retesting 489 for a temporary bounce. Finally, the VIX could be dipping back down towards the lower 15s, and we'll see if we bounce or not. But overall, that's going to be our big support. So right now, it looks like the market wants to push a little bit, temporarily, but then we're going to be watching to see if we get a rejection still. That is still possible on the setups and very probable unless we break key resistance and invalidate that setup, right? If the Tesla breaks past 435 and can close above it, it has more upside potential. If SPY could close above 685 and the QQQ closes above 65, they could try to turn bullish. But as of right now, we have not done that, so we still favor that we kind of could push and then reject. Looking at the rising wedges, we could push a little bit higher than reject, and then Tesla may follow that trend. It could push a little bit higher and then reject before this ends up being tested. Now, if we do get back above like 435 or above, like if we do push a little bit higher, there is still a risk of it turning back down. If we can close above 435, it could still turn down. It depends on how we end up closing, so keep that in mind. So we'll see what happens. Keep in mind we have the economic optimism report at 10:10, followed by the very important, speech by President Trump at 2 p.m. So we'll see what that leads to. Anyways, thank you all for listening, and peace out.